Two, one. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Delusions of Grandeur. I am one of your hosts, but today we are going to be going on about a film that my fiance has put forward here, and I don't think we've gone on about it on our channel yet. So, um, just to get started, I'm going to see what IMDb says about the film. It's very vague. 16-year-old Sarah must solve a labyrinth to rescue her baby brother when he is taken by the Goblin King. There's a little bit more, more that goes into that. So, Tammy, why did you bring this movie forward?
Because we haven't done it before, and I was kind of in a fantasy mood type of thing for movies, and so and I think part of it might have been, um, my dad passed earlier in the month, and his
Oh,
birthday, what would be his birthday is coming up, and this was a movie that he had shown me, and I remember watching it for the first time with him. So it's got special meaning to me,
oh,
besides enjoying the movie itself.
Okay. And I guess we'll get into first impressions then, I guess. Okay.
Okay, who
So,
wants to go
first,
first?
did you want to go first?
if you say so, I can.
Sure.
So this was the first time I watched this movie, which is maybe a shame because I kind
Sacrilege.
of what?
Sacrilege.
Oh, I'm sorry. I I did hear of Jim Henson, though when I was a kid I was watching some shows he was involved with, such as Sesame Street and Bear in the Big Blue House. But unfortunately I didn't watch this movie before. But I am glad I watched it now, and it was an enjoyable movie, exciting enough uh, with quite a well-developed world with a wide variety of creatures and stuff, which is all really fun. Now, one pet peeve I have with it, of course, no disrespect to you, Tammy, since I know now that this movie is special to you, but I have a big issue with the moral message of this movie, which is that if you are not good with children, you are not a good person. And if you are not okay with your responsibilities invading your personal space, you are also not a good person, apparently. Which is something I, like I said, disagree with a lot. But okay, I know this movie was made at the time when people were not thinking the way we do nowadays. So uh, yeah, to be honest, at the very beginning, I very much sympathized with Sarah when she didn't know how to get the baby to shut up. Uh, and when she was getting frustrated, I could really imagine very vividly how she felt about that, and uh, about her childhood memories getting misplaced because of the baby and all that. So yeah, no offense to anyone who disagrees, but that's one issue I have with this story. But like I said, overall it was a fun movie. It had a lot of good qualities, and like I said, I'm glad I saw it.
I think in the end, though, Sarah comes around, and she learns what it's, the I think the true meaning, behind the movie does come around about. family and, you know, um, doing things family wise, and that she needed to, I think that the movie made her learn that. It made her realize how much her little brother really did mean to her, because she goes on this trek to get him back. So,
Yeah.
so I think um, it really does. Like I said, it does come around. So
Uh, yeah, in a way, I understand, but I got the impression that it's trying to say that if you cannot reach the same conclusion on your own that Sarah reached at the end, that you are not a good person, and I think it's just. Not everyone can really be good with children, and if people are forcing themselves into it without really feeling it's something for them, then it can only make both them and the children suffer.
I guess I didn't get that out of it. I guess I got more or less that she needed to learn, and what is what it was, and
You don't know loss until you lose it.
yeah,
okay,
One of
okay, that's
the things that she she did in an instant of anger, and she had a favorite story, and she didn't realize the power of her words. You know, at the beginning
mm,
of a movie, and it's a be careful what you wish for moment.
right.
And that's one of the huge messages is be careful what you wish for, because it might
mm,
come true. And
yeah.
she learns it in a big way.
Okay, yeah, now that in a more general context, that is a good message, yeah.
But um, we're getting ahead of ourselves with talking a little bit more about the plot. So let's go into Tammy. First impressions of this movie. I know you kind of told us a little bit why you brought it forward, but what were your first impressions of the movie?
Um, as a kid when I saw it, I
Remember, this came out in 1986. You were 14, the same age as Jennifer Connelly when she was in this movie.
let's see, I guess I didn't. I was an only child, so when I first saw this, um, I had recently um become aware that I had younger siblings, half siblings, um, and but they weren't as young as the child in here, But I kind of understood in a way, because I wasn't used to dealing with younger siblings when I first met them. So in a way, I could kind of see where she was coming from, because I was 10 years older than my half sister and 8 years older than my half brother when I met them. So they were very young. Um, I think Sabrina was only like 2, maybe.
Oh, was she named after the teenage witch?
I don't think that's what Bonnie and Dad had in mind, but
I'm sorry.
but yeah, I think Sabrina was 2 and Derek was 4. I think when I met him, maybe a little bit older, but when I met them, I was 12. So there was, quite an age difference, and I wasn't really used to them.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
and I only had the weekend visits getting to know them, but it was still I kind of understood how she felt when my dad played this movie because I didn't know how to deal with them either, you know. But I didn't do what she did. But I mean, yeah, um I thought it was really good. I mean, I was impressed with all of the characters. Definitely. I really didn't know who David Bowie was at the time because of my age. So I really, you know, I didn't appreciate David Bowie being in it as much as I do now. As at the time, I mean, I thought that he was a good Goblin King and everything else, but I really didn't, you know, see him for who he was, basically, because of my age.
Yeah,
But
makes sense.
But yeah, I thought it was really good. I thought I understood basically the moral behind it and everything because I was old enough, and I know my father really enjoyed playing it for me. So, and my dad always had the nice equipment. So when the songs came on, believe me, you heard the songs, and
Well, bear in mind, David Bowie actually created 5 songs specifically for this movie. Um,
Oh, nice.
so the 5 songs that you hear him sing in here were created specifically for this movie. I mean, they ended up on other albums of his and became part of his persona, but um, they were originally written and recorded specifically for this movie, which I'm sure we'll get into later on in the music section.
yeah, we watched the behind the scenes on that. So yeah, we can talk about that later. But yes, I was impressed with everything, especially since I probably was about 14, 15 years old when I actually saw it.
Yeah.
So
And I'm not sure exactly when I saw it the first time, but I definitely saw this as a kid. Um, and I saw this one more than I saw the Dark Crystal, which I didn't see the Dark Crystal until Tammy introduced it to me. And maybe a little bit before that, a friend of mine named Bruce actually kept talking about it, uh, which Bruce is now dead. But in any
Oh,
case,
my condolences.
uh, but in any case, um, I enjoy the characters. I enjoy David Bowie as the Goblin King. I actually thought Jennifer Connelly was pretty damn hot for 14 at the time, as a
Wow.
kid. So, I mean, she was kind of well developed at the time. So, um, but in any case, uh, that is a little bit beyond what I was probably going to say at first. Um, but yeah, I actually didn't get the message that you got from it, Boris, that you are evil if you don't want to take care of children. But
uh,
I do think that families still, when families have other children, expect that their other family members are going to babysit for them so that they can have a date night and all that kind of jazz. They would hope that their siblings would love each other enough to take care of them in their absence. And that is still something that parents expect of their children from generation to generation. It teaches them responsibility. It teaches them how to take care of someone better than themselves, and vice versa. That is not evil to try to teach them responsibility. So, in respect of the parents of wanting to actually have a night to themselves and whatnot, it is a duty that a daughter should take care of their young child, especially since they don't have any means to take care of themselves until they are out of the house and of age. So, coming from that kind of perspective, um, coming from that kind of perspective, you definitely can see there's definitely an age difference between her and her brother, and she wants to definitely be doing other things in her life than just taking care of her brother, which is an annoyance. But at this time in her life, she is a teenager, and teenagers tend to rebel and start to think of other things and want to be on, you know, be doing other things, be going out with friends and whatnot. Instead,
Well,
she's
no shit.
stuck at home dealing with a brother. She probably never at first wanted. The way her life looked, it looked like her parents doted on her like she was a princess and kind of a spoiled brat. So, when her baby brother came into existence, that kind of upset her world.
Well, among other things, they were messing with her personal belongings. Honestly, to me, that would be a big no-no, no matter what.
Well, that's something um, you can't really blame the child for, you know, being curious.
No,
And
no, it's not the child. It was the parents that took that teddy bear away from her and gave it to him without her even knowing that.
I thought it was the child that had actually taken it or whatnot.
I don't think so because of where it was.
Yeah,
I
Okay,
on the
I believe
shelf, the
I,
baby was too young to take it on its own, I think.
okay.
I
Well,
think that
that might have
the
been kind of a no as far as, personal belongings, personal space. If my parents decide, it, it, it's like my parents coming in with a green trash bag and throwing out my shit just because they didn't like something that I did that day, or you know.
Pretty much. Yeah.
But in 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 defense, they were probably using the teddy bear as a way to, you know, help quiet the child. You know, they and honestly, people get hand me downs all the time, and she's 14 years old. Whether she's 14 years old in the movie, there is definitely a moment in time where parents want us to grow up and and
Uh,
and and put down childish things. It is something that is ingrained in parents. It's something that parents want their children to do eventually, which is grow up, not too much, but grow up eventually, and shuck.
there's nothing wrong with stuffed animals.
There is nothing wrong with stuffed animals, but sometimes parents think too much and think that an adult that has stuffed animals, they have never stopped being a child. You know, kind of thing. Um, there's a time to show that you have started to grow up, and I don't think that
But
she has
she had
started.
her stuffed animals as like a collection type of thing that went along with her fantasy books and everything else. So I think it
yeah,
was I think it was wrong of the parents to take one of the animal stuffed animals without her permission.
yeah, at least they could have asked.
If they would
And
have asked and said, "Hey, can the baby have can the baby have one of your animals?"
yeah,
Would have been different. I mean, because I know even though I only had the weekends with my dad, I did not want Derek or Sabrina touching my things.
uh, yeah,
I was at the age when I met them that these are my things. You know,
I didn't like my sister touching my things.
yeah, truth be told, even things that are from my childhood are something that my time, my effort, and my emotions went into, and I'm not okay with anyone taking that away or destroying it or anything like that.
and see, they were so young that they were willing to give me their things though.
Well, good for people
They
who are.
definitely wanted to share everything of theirs with me, but you know, and they didn't really understand. I usually didn't have anything that interested them because I was only there for the weekend. But if I did, they didn't understand. No, I'm not sharing. You know,
Yeah.
because they were very young.
Well,
I mean, I think it was very wrong of a psychologist to tell my mom to donate my books to the library when I was not being when I was misbehaving.
a psychologist advised that. What the fuck?
Yep.
That
When I was
psychologist.
a kid, and yes, I was misbehaving, but I had the large. I swear, I had the largest collection of Goosebump books.
That
And
psychologist should have lost their license right away. Sorry for interrupting you.
well, I don't think that my mom should have done that, and I think my
Of,
mom regretted that, but she still did it.
sh- she should have regretted it dearly, if you ask me.
I think everybody regretted it dearly, but I think one thing David has to understand, and also Philippe, you have to understand is David's disability was not really understood at the time either, of
Oh,
how, and it wasn't understood how to deal with his mood swings and how he acted and the things that he did. They were still trying to figure out how to deal with that.
They're still trying.
So I mean,
well,
not I'm not trying to condone what the psychologist did or his mom did, but they were they were learning also at the time of how to cope. So you can't totally be against them if you look at it from that point of view, okay?
yeah, yeah, that much makes sense. Truth be told, autism and Asperger syndrome are something that science still doesn't have all the answers about. So back then it must have been even more difficult.
Well, yeah, 40 years ago, they were still on the still learning.
Yep.
Uh, yeah. Oof.
And I would have to say it was roughly around 28 years ago that happened.
To be honest, Dave, I'm sorry for saying this, but if it was my mother, I would never be able to look her in the eyes again without seeing in those eyes what I lost because of her.
Well, trust me, it took me a while to get to a point where my mom and I are okay, and my dad and I are okay. I mean, my dad was very abusive in his relationship with me. He hasn't been abusive to me in a long time, but the last time he was when I told him I was moving in with Tammy.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
That was
No, actually, the last time he was, we were at a baseball game.
oh what he
Remember,
actually hit me in front of you.
in front of everybody.
Yeah,
Damn, how old were you when that happened?
I would say probably about 30.
In all honesty, you should have hit him back.
I
did I?
think no. I think the reason David behaved is because everybody was there. I was there. His sister was there. Her husband was there. His mom was there. You know, and I know my, his mom said something to his dad, and that basically put an end to it. So,
Yeah.
but his
I
dad
forgot about that one.
his dad and him have come a long way since that incident too.
I hope so. Wow, what a bombshell I dropped in this conversation.
Okay.
Well, I think also his his mom has said, and I've been around the family now for 16 years. His mom has said that his dad, they think, may also have the Asperger's too, but never been tested because of some of the things he does.
Huh.
So,
And
Oh,
in
that's
truth and
possible.
reality, I've been told that autism is often inherited through the father.
Oh, interesting. No,
So
that's something I haven't heard about, but it's possible.
but that could explain some of his father's actions too. And it's like, but he would never. I'm sure his father, even if he got tested, would probably still try to not admit it because
my father is a very proud person.
So he would say that science is bullshit, huh?
Mm,
he might.
he might, but he's more open to a lot of the stuff that has to deal with me because he's got a lot of my information and whatnot, and has been able to help with certain insurance stuff that. But we're getting off topic here, so
Yeah, sorry.
not a problem. But I thoroughly enjoy this movie. I enjoy the characters. I enjoy the goblins. I enjoy the different characters that she comes across. They are unique. Um, and it took a great imagination to put these puppetry and mechanical things together down to the very details of the wall anime that you see in the walls of the um, Labyrinth itself, to the different characters, to the um, door knockers, to different various details that you see throughout out the film, and the whole fact that the Goblin King can shape shift into a snowy white owl.
Hoot hoot!
So, uh,
Actually, I think that's a barred owl.
Well,
if I'm not mistaken.
okay. Well, Tammy, did you want to bring us into the plot?
Sure. So Sarah is told by her parents that she needs to watch her baby brother while they go out, and her being a 16-year-old does not want to be saddled with watching the baby. She wants to read read her books and act out her fantasy things in her books and everything, and have her own time to herself instead of watching over a baby. But um, so she is doing her own thing, and the baby is crying, and she cannot get the baby to stop crying, and she starts reciting. Um, I don't know if it's something from a book or if it's something from a poem or something, but she starts reciting it and not knowing that it could come true. And basically, like we had talked about before, careful what you wish for. She had no idea at the time that what she was saying was going to actually happen. And then when it did, she you you see the other side basically, because you see the goblins and everything watching and listening to her, for her to say the words. And she finally does say, you know,
I wish that you would take my brother away to the Goblin King.
right.
Basically,
And after she says it and she realizes he's gone, she realizes the mistake she made, and that's when she meets the Goblin King. So, anybody have anything to say up to now?
Mm,
well, um, she definitely wants to live in her own world. She doesn't understand why she's got to take care of her brother. Why she can't just do what she wants to do. She is very impetuous, and in all honesty, she's acting kind of spoiled.
well, uh, I can see why most people would see it that way, but then again, what had she done to deserve losing her freedom that way?
Her parents chose to have another child, and
Yeah, and how is that her fault?
until she is living under her own roof, she has nothing to say.
Well, that's a problem.
Not really. It's only a problem in her mind because she is not an adult. Until she's got a roof under her head and a job to pay for her own damn shit, she's got nothing to say. Not really. uh, Unfortunately, that's the way of the world, and that's the way the cookie crumbles. If you don't like it, tough shit. you know,
Well, it is the way the world is, but it's a fucked up way.
not really. You want the ability to choose to have your own life, and you can do so when you can get a job and you know. Uh,
Yeah, but at that age, you cannot get a job even if you want to.
well, not at 14, but at 16, yes, you can.
Uh, okay, not in my country, not sure about yours.
I had a
What?
job at 16.
Over here, you have to be 18 to be able to get employed legally.
Oh well, over here legally, you can start at the age of 16, sometimes even 14, at a parent with a parental consent.
Whew.
Yeah, over here it's called getting a work permit. You do have to have consent, and you also have the employer has to follow um, guidelines. You can't work past a certain time. You can't work more than this many hours. Things like that.
Well, yeah, because I'm pretty sure that at the age of 14, a parent can sign over the on a work form that their child can work at 14 at certain jobs. It doesn't mean all jobs, but a parent has the legal right to give parental consent, because technically, until you are till you are the age of 18, your parents are your legal guardians, unless you can prove that your parents are in fact uh, unable to be parents. Which I think there's a way that you can legally become your own guardian at that point in time.
Called emancipated minor.
Emancipated minor. So,
I went for that.
and did you get
court
it?
for that? Huh?
Did you get it?
No, because they thought that where I was being in the foster home was the most proper place to be at the time. So I was only trying to get it so that I could go live with my father. So
Okay. So, but yeah, that's the way things are on this side of the world. But in any case, so yes, Boris, did you have anything else to add up until the Goblin King showed up the first time?
Oh, well, I really liked his outfit, if anything. That's aside from the things I have already said. And of course, I liked his owl form, since I like owls a lot. So whenever he appeared in that form, I was like, hoot hoot.
But yeah, his outfit. He had 3 outfits, if I remember correctly, on the movie.
Something like that.
The first one was this black one that I liked, and then he had a white one where it looked like he actually looked like an owl with the feathers and fur and whatnot. But
then he had one at the ball.
yep, that's what I was talking about.
But I thought he had one other one for when further on when he confronts Hoggle.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he had another one when he confronted Hoggle too. But
we'll get there.
Yep. So, what does the Goblin King say when he first appears?
Oh, what was it? I can't remember the exact words.
Well, he basically tells her, "Hey, it's too late. You said the words. You you can try to come and get him in my castle, but it is a long way out. And I'll give you till this time to come and get him, but then he is mine, basically." So she
he gave her 13 hours.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think. Did she have a little bit of a fight with the goblins in her room at first?
Oh yeah, something like that.
Yeah, when he first they were, yeah, doing stuff in her room.
I did like that one goblin that was kind of acting a little stupid. Did she say it? You know the one?
Yeah.
But she ultimately starts a journey towards the labyrinth that will eventually lead her to the Goblin Castle. But she does run into one character first, I do believe, and I believe it's Huggle, and he's trying to spray fairies dead.
Oh, yeah, honestly, that did look a little nasty, even though he apparently had a justification for doing that.
Well, he's kind of a little bit of a troublemaker, at least as far as we see at first, and he has an affinity for duels. He likes jewels.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he
Which,
likes trinkets.
yes, so he's kind of a dwarf in a sense, in that. So we've got a dwarf and fairies that show up.
For now.
And what do y'all think about Hoggle?
Oh, he's an interesting character. Like, until a certain point in the movie, I was legitimately wondering which side he was really on. Like, he was a character you could expect a plot twist with, but in the end, he turned out good.
Okay.
I think Hoggle was one of them characters that he just wants to please everybody. He doesn't because he doesn't want anybody to be mad at him, and he desperately wants somebody to like him and to be his friend, and he basically will do anything to get that.
Huh. Well, yeah, true.
He doesn't mean to do bad things or hurtful things, you know.
He's forced to because Jared, the Goblin King, does not want her to get to the Goblin Castle. He wants her brother to turn into a goblin and become part of his goblin kingdom. He does not want her to arrive to the center, which is where the Goblin Castle is. So he will do anything in his power to prevent that from happening. And when Hoggle is starting to help her, that's not exactly helping him.
True.
But she does and is shown the entrance to the labyrinth, and I believe she turns right and goes in that direction. And I guess she gets a little lost, and then she finds this little tiny worm that is sitting on a ledge in the labyrinth. And what does that worm tell
Hello.
her?
Hello.
Hello.
Nice impersonation.
Not quite, but I'm sure that'll do.
But she basically ends up telling her that things are not always as they seem, and shows her that there is a doorway because she doesn't believe there is.
Yeah. For a moment, I was wondering what that was going to turn out like. I thought she was going to get sucked through one of the cracks between the bricks or something like that.
but she just ended up walking right through, and it ended up being like a doorway to another another area. You know, it was kind of a neat illusion. But evidently, she was starting to go one way, and the worm was like, "Don't go that way." So she went the other way. If she'd have gone that way, she'd have gone towards the Goblin King's castle, which is where she wanted to go to begin with. So the worm actually told her to go a different way. And where does she go after that, Tammy?
Who does she meet first? Doesn't she meet the dude with the bird on his head?
No, that's a little later. That's a little later. I
Isn't
think
that
what she does is she starts to draw on the bricks.
Oh yeah.
She starts to draw on the bricks, and you see the little dudes come up and flip the bricks and whatnot as she goes along.
Yeah, and then she meets the two cards that are two doors that are look like playing cards.
Yeah.
And she's trying to trick them for which door to go in because, and they're saying, well, and there's a top end and a bottom end, and then besides that, they're like talking about each other,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and the way she figured out which door to go through and how quickly she figured it out, that was really brilliant. To be honest, I would have to analyze what she said very carefully in order to fully figure it out.
Well, yeah. It seems like she tricks them into telling her the right door, because they tell her behind one door is a way out of here, and the other door it will seal your doom.
Which I think that she picked. I believe she picked the wrong. The one that sealed her doom.
Well,
But
yeah,
then
because
again, she survived.
she walks into there, and then she meets the helping hands, which they speak to her, and that part is real interesting because they're pulling her down, and they're like telling her, okay, which way is it? Which way do you want to go? Do you want to go up or do you want to go down? Come on, we don't have all day. And at first she's like saying up, but then she was like, well, you know what? I'm already going down, so you might as well put me down. She said down. Down she goes. and they drop her to the bottom, and that's when she ends up where Hoggle is, apparently. And he's evidently following her progress. And I think Jared shows up, and I forget exactly what they call the darn thing, but evidently there's many pockets of this that are there. And
isn't it an oubliette?
Yeah, an oubliette.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jared shows up, and he's like, Hoggle, it looks like you're helping her. No, I'm just trying to take her back to the beginning. But he takes and flips a stone around and gets them out of there. And I guess shortly after that is when they run into I think they get separated, or he tells her she's on her own. She's taken her as far as he can. That's when they run into the dude with the bird on his head.
Well, before that though, to get out of where they are, she ends up giving him her bracelet. You know, to
Yeah, to Hoggle.
Hoggle, and says that Hoggle is her friend. But then he turns around and says, "This is as far as I can take you." And I think that's when she takes his like keychain with all of his little trinkets, and he goes and runs off at first, right?
Oh.
Something like that.
Yeah, isn't that the part where she kisses Hoggle and almost ends up in the bog of eternal stench, or is that later?
That's
That's
later
Oh, sorry.
because shortly after he takes her a bit away, he leaves her, and then she runs into Ludo, who is being tortured by some of the goblins with their monsters on sticks, and uh, he screams and gives her rocks so that she throws them at their helmets. And this is kind of a comical moment where they start fighting against each other, and then those monsters on sticks bite each other in each other's ass. And then she throws enough rocks at them that they end up running away, and she goes up to Ludo, and they become friends. And at first he like starts to nip at her, and she's like, "No, I'm trying to help you." And she gets him down, and they begin walking with each other. And then I think what happens is Ludo ends up dropping through the ground and ends up in or around the bog of eternal stench, and somehow she runs into Hoggle again by this time. And is it when those long orange creatures end up like start playing with her, and they sound a little bit like Bob Marley?
Uh, could be. Uh, Not sure. What about you, Tammy?
You're muted, Tammy. Oh, she'll be right back.
Okay.
Yeah, I think those dudes that seem to lose their heads a bit with
Literally.
uh, sing to her, and apparently there are these creatures that live in or around the bog of eternal stench, and may not exactly be on your side in the event of keeping you going towards the bog or whatnot. And she ends up throwing one of their heads in a different direction. And I guess Hoggle throws down a rope and helps her up the side. And then they are on the side of the wall, but end up tumbling themselves into the bog where Ludo is, I believe.
uh, I think so. Yeah.
And then Ludo is like, fog smells.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those guys throwing their body parts around were quite interesting.
Uh, yeah, the bug of eternal stench was also kind of funny with all the farts and stuff.
Yeah, because Ludo um, actually they run into a dog who is guarding a bridge, and he tells them that they cannot pass, and I guess they get into kind of a word battle with him, and then they finally figure out, okay, the only reason why he's not letting them pass is because he did not give them his permission. And so they asked for his permission, and he thought about it for a minute, like, oh shit, they're actually asking, you know.
Isn't he a fox?
He was
Yeah,
actually
like
a dog.
He looks like a
uh,
fox to me.
He's not a
it-
fox, but he does stand on two legs.
it's kind of funny that all they needed to do was ask, yet it took them so long.
What was his name?
uh, Sir, something with starting with D, right? Didymus or something like that.
Yes, Sir Didymus, I believe. Let's see, Huggle, Ludo, Didymus. Yes, the voice of Didymus was Dave Goltz. So, oh, another voice was David Shaughnessy.
For the same character.
Yeah, evidently had two different voices,
Whew.
and the guy who puppeteered him was David Allen Barclay. And Karen Terrell was the worm. So, well, the puppeteer of the worm, and Timothy Bateson was the voice of the worm. But in any case, going forward, so Sir Didymus, he told them they had permission. Uh, I do believe the first person that crossed was Huggle. And he got across, but then when Sarah was crossing the bridge fell, and that's when
Spodao!
yep, Spudow. And when Ludo called upon the stones came up, and they could hop across. But as they hopped, the stones parted, which was hilarious.
Yes, definitely.
I could see Tammy laughing her butt off at that moment.
you
So was my dad when we watched it.
you weren't watching the movie together for this discussion.
No, her father's dead.
No, you mean the two of you.
Yeah, we were watching it together.
Oh, I mean, because you said I can see Tammy laughing as if you weren't there when she laughed.
Yeah, I saw her laughing at that moment. She was giggling her butt off.
Ah,
Not a belly laugh, but at least giggling.
makes sense.
But yeah, she's a giggler. But after they cross that, then I believe they find themselves actually in front of the Goblin King gate, if I remember correctly. or did they come across that yet? Yeah,
Oh,
I think they do because there's a sleeping guard in front of that gate, and then when they open it, there's another a gate that closes, and then when that gate closes, it becomes this gigantic goblin in armor with a big battle axe.
oh yeah.
And it definitely swings at them and swings at them several times until Hoggle, you see him uh, uh, step on the battlements and evidently come in from behind, and evidently he throws the goblin that was inside manning the thing to the ground, and it looked at him like, how rude. um, and evidently the axe gets stuck in the ceiling of the gate, and they go into the gate, and that's when Jared is warned by his goblin dudes that they have entered the goblin city. So he yells at them to do something about it and attack, you know. So I guess that's when we get them walking into the goblin city, and then they're surrounded by the goblins with goblin cannons, and that's when they go for a run for it. They're running from the goblins, and then that's when they get inside this one goblin tower, and Sarah tells Ludo to call the stones. And Sir Didymus is kind of funny because no matter what in the face, even when he's surrounded, he seems to think that he's won, and that they're just giving up. And he's like, "All right, I see you have given up. Drop your weapons." You know, he is
Yeah.
definitely not scared of anything. Sir Didymus. Tammy? What did you think about this whole Goblin City moment?
Well, we were where we are right now. There's like the whole fight ensues. It's like they fire that one out of the cannon, and he goes and he hits the wall, and it's like,
Did I hit it? Did I hit it?
yeah, but it's funny, and then like you said, Sir Didymus,
Yeah.
he just does not give up no matter what. But what was the name of his dog? His
Uh,
mount.
wait. Ambrosius. Wait.
Yeah,
Ambrosius. Yes.
Ambrosia or
Yeah,
whatever.
Ambrosius. Ambrosius starts to make a run for it and tries to actually leave the entire city, and he's like, Ambrosius, I will not feed you anymore.
And then,
And
then when they go and hide in the one house, they're like, "Well, how's Blue gonna get in?" He just takes the part of the house, it goes in, and then closes the door, and then goes up and takes the top off the one part. So it is quite a battle, but yet it's comical.
well, because they don't entirely like. Uh, it's like even though the puppeteers cannot see where shit with these puppets, it like helps with the comicalness, you know. Um, but He calls the stones, and the stones end up rolling after these guys and run them through. Oh, we didn't mention the first time that we see the Goblin King um, with his goblins in his goblin castle. He sings a song. I swear, my sister and I would sing that beginning of that song like over and over on car trips.
Who?
You remind me of the Babe. Babe, what power? Power of the voodoo. Hoodoo, you do what? Remind me of the Babe. You
Wow,
remind me of the
cool.
Babe. What Babe? Babe with the power. What power? Power to the voodoo. Hoodoo, you do what? Remind me of the Babe. I saw my baby cry. You know, so that song that he sung with her brother was kind of cute.
Yeah, actually, the fact that he was kind to the baby kept me thinking throughout the whole movie that he was not really all that bad.
And we kind of skipped over the part too where he made Hoggle give her that peach, and she went into a dreamland.
Yeah, and there was a
Oh, oh
kind of a
yeah, we
masquerade
did
ball,
skip that.
The
and there was a kind of
masquerade ball,
masquerade ball.
and she was supposed to forget all about Toby.
Yeah, because Toby is her brother's name.
Yes. And speaking of which, when I googled something about the movie, I stumbled upon some link saying that, but then I lost it somehow and couldn't find it anymore. Where it said that Jared created that whole world because at some point he had a son named Toby and something like that. But I like I said, I lost that link and couldn't read it. So, do you maybe know if that's a part of any book connected to this movie, or if that was just some fan fiction or something?
That sounds like something that was fan fictional or whatnot. I do know that David Bowie in reality does have a son and whatnot because when he actually sang with Bing Crosby on the Little Drummer Boy, he actually said that he lived not too far from Bing Crosby at the time that they were singing that song. Um, I know
I
he has children.
I do know the some of the behind the scenes we are watching that David Bowie actually did have a lot of input. He made a lot of suggestions to Henson for scenes and for things, you know.
Hmm.
So, because they were other people in this behind the scenes were saying that you know he did have actually have a lot of input, and that Jim Henson actually listened to him, you know. So, and enjoyed his suggestions because he basically did immerse himself into being the Goblin King, and he kind of just when he immersed himself into the role, he kind of was picturing the whole thing too, you know. So,
And I guess he had a just as wicked a sense of humor as Jim Henson did for the characters. So I think the two meshed real well, and um, well, that's what we got on screen. So
well, yeah, and then behind the scenes, they all agreed too that they couldn't have picked a better person to be the Goblin King. You know, they thought that they were right in picking him. So, which obviously they were.
so and also after the dream sequence, she ended up um, in a garbage heap where there was this a lady who was collecting junk, and the first thing she picked up and gave her was her teddy bear. And that started the first memories, and then it took her into her room. And then when she finally looked at the book, and that was by her dresser of the story of the Goblin King, that's when she started to remember it all. And I think it just came crashing back to her. And that's when we get the moment when she and the rest of them end up inside the Goblin Castle, and she turns to them and tells them, "I think I need to do this next part alone." And they all turn to her and say, "Okay, but should you need us, we'll be here." You know, they all say that to her. And she goes off in search of her brother Toby, and that's when we get David Bowie starting to sing another song.
And we get that very unique staircase.
Correct.
Oh yeah, wasn't that staircase based on painting or something like that?
Unsure. All I know is that they did a very interesting way of him standing upside down and then coming right back up to face her, and vice versa on these stone stairways, and it makes you think that this definitely is a weird place, you know.
And one thing we didn't mention that I always thought was cool is how he would have like three of those crystal balls in his hand and how he moved them. I always thought that was so cool looking. How he would like juggle like three of them in one hand like that.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
And it kind of reminds me a little bit of the never-ending story with the dreams. Although I'm speaking more about the never-ending story too, um, which I'm sure you haven't seen, but there's a part in the never-ending story too. Spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen, where there is a machine that keeps these dreams in crystal balls. So when you think of dreams, or even if you think of the Wizard of Oz with the witch's crystal ball that she looks through, kind of reminds me of that, you know. So.
Oh yeah, yeah, it did.
But other than that, she begins to remember the words in which she needs to say at the end, and she always forgets that last little bit. Uh,
And then she remembers the last little bit basically is just saying, "You have no power over me." And that breaks it all.
Oh yeah,
yep.
which I found kind of sad. I kind of hoped they would end up on the same side and get together.
My kingdom is as great. My kingdom is as great. Damn, I can never remember that line. Look what I'm offering you. Your dreams, Sarah. So, but here we go. in any case, so she does remember the lines, and she does get Toby back, and um, her parents come home, but at the end of everything, she's sitting down at her mirror, and she speaks to the mirror and tells all of them that she needs them every single day, at least a little bit. And so they all come back and they have kind of a slumber party.
Uh, oh yeah, that's the scene you once gave me as a reference for something I was editing for you.
Yeah,
Correct.
that was the end, and then but you see Jared as the owl sitting there watching the whole thing.
Hoot hoot.
Correct. So at the end of everything, what did y'all think about the production? I'm going to start with you, Boris.
Uh, uh, Actually, I think the production was very good, especially for that period of time. And honestly, when I heard Jim Henson, I expected it would be something much more puppet oriented. I expected something much more like Sesame Street or Bear in the Big Blue House. This was uh, this was a lot more complex and more uh, okay, maybe more serious is not the correct word, but more serious in terms of technical quality and the effort they put into it. So I actually think the production was really good. All those creatures and special effects and stuff, especially those staircases and the labyrinth and the crystal balls and stuff. It was, I would say, all really well done.
Okay, is that it?
Oh yeah, I think.
Okay, I'll go next. I thought production was great. I mean, because you know, for its time, I thought it was really good, and it's to have the humans interacting with all of the puppets and all the people that it took to make all of these puppets work and all the ideas that they had to come up with and how and everything. Like when they did the helping hands, how they had to have people, you know, to do the hands and how they had to make the hands move in certain ways so that it looked like they were talking, and it just, it took a lot of work, I think, and a lot of imagination and a lot of people that were very good at what they were doing. But, and then like I said, it wasn't just puppets, you had actually human beings working around them, and to put it all together like that and so smoothly, it was. I think they did a really good job. I think the scenery, how they did it, especially with the
Fog of an unbearable stench.
yeah, and I didn't to yes, to make all the little fart noises was cute, and it was different, when she went across it, it made one noise. When Buddha went across it, when
I
little
mean, they even.
Ambrosia went across, it went, you know what I mean? It
I
was
mean, they even spoofed Indiana Jones with the moving ball towards them.
oh, that
Ah,
with
see,
the
With
good
cleaner,
spikes.
point.
with the cleaner, yeah, when the cleaner came
Yeah.
through. So yeah, it just is. I just think it was great. I mean, the imagination it took to come up with all the different creatures, and you know I think they did an awesome job. I mean, I really do. This is like above and beyond watching the Muppet Show or Sesame Street or any of that stuff. It was, I thought, very very good. And I think um I think it was good enough that this is something that is not just for kids, that I think adults can actually sit back and enjoy it too, not just kids. So,
Well, true. I did enjoy it overall, in spite of the pet peeve I had with the moral message of it. It was
I
still
don't. I
entertaining.
actually don't think that was the moral message that you were supposed to get from it. So
Okay, maybe, yeah, maybe I'm thinking too seriously and too much in terms of psychology.
well, yeah. Um, this was "Be Careful What You Wish For" movie, not thinking that someone is evil if they don't like children.
uh, yeah.
okay, David, what did you think of production?
Oh, I thought production was phenomenal. I mean, looking at some of the behind the scenes of how they had to do some of the stuff, and the fact that there it was actually a museum that was made in the honor of some of the props from this movie. Like there's the wall where the knocker was on that spoke. Um, the way that they were talking about well, Brian Henson, he's the son of Jim Henson. He said that he worked with his father on this production, and when he watched his father try to direct all these like different hands, that there were a ton of people who were trying to make the faces of the hands and whatnot, and how he was trying to direct the hands to go this way. Okay, that's not working. Okay, that hand, you put that hand here, and then put that hand here, and then we'll see what happens there. I'm not sure I would have been able to direct that part without like several
See,
screw ups.
definitely. Okay, nowadays it would probably be done with CGI, but back then, yeah, that looked very difficult.
Well, they said it behind the scenes that sometimes they were laying down on things on an angle to do this or to do that, or so like David said earlier, sometimes they really couldn't even see that much of what they were doing. So,
But it was definitely a very unique world, a very different world. I almost wonder if he got some of it, especially with the dudes with the cards with the wrong doors. That kind of reminded me a little bit of Alice in Wonderland kind of thing. So I don't
Oh,
mind.
nice.
Uh,
Uh,
uh, well, you know what I mean. Um, Bits and pieces just taken for a little bit from everything. Everybody borrows something
and
from something.
the playing cards too.
Yep, the
ah,
playing
true.
cards. So, but yeah, I enjoyed this movie through and through. I enjoy David Bowie's performance every time I watch this movie. I think this movie has become a timeless classic. Enjoy the Bog of Unbearable Stench. I enjoy Ludo. Ludo's my favorite character from this, to be honest. Ludo,
Oh, yeah, he was
smell
fun.
bad. But yeah, I think this is a story for uh, all siblings who don't entirely enjoy taking care of their brothers and sisters like the good son or daughter that they should be. Um, and okay, I don't expect anyone to entirely get along with crying babies who never stop crying. Children cry for no reason at all, and they can be brats at times. I know. I've taken and watched over several friends of mine's kids, and they were punks. But
Well, okay, you cannot really call a baby a brat. It's not really the baby's fault that it's crying, but yeah, having that
well, yeah,
responsibility
they don't
requires a lot
exactly have
of.
brains yet. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, but still dealing with that requires some mental strength that not everyone has.
Someone here said, "Poor Hoghead, you remind me of the babe."
Oh, we got someone in the comments.
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
But
Okay, so let's
Hello.
go into our favorite character, favorite scene or scenes. You want to start that out for us?
sure.
Uh, my favorite character, well, probably Jared. I thought he was a really interesting villain because we saw a lot of his good sides, and he also had very cool costumes, and of course, hoot hoot. uh, I like the fact that he had an owl form a lot. Oh, and an interesting thing, not sure if you guys have noticed this. Okay, if you watched behind the scenes, maybe you know that. I wouldn't have noticed it myself if I hadn't read it on Google, but David Bowie, aside from playing Jared, he also played, well, not played, but he appears on photos in Sarah's scrapbook as the man her biological mother left her father with, which means, which subtly implies that Sarah was actually fantasizing about her mother's new boyfriend.
Okay.
Did you not know that?
No.
I remember
I
seeing the pictures in the scrapbook and thinking that it looked like him.
Yeah, apparently that character also has a name, Jeremy. I found about that while googling, like I said, although I didn't really do a very thorough research on it, but yeah, you can look it up for yourselves.
Okay, so technically, Sarah in Labyrinth was in fact fantasizing about her stepdad.
Some Okay, I'm not sure if that's what the
Or her
director.
mother's new boyfriend.
Yeah, like, okay, I'm not sure if that's what the director intended to imply, but some people who were analyzing the movie took that from it.
Okay, that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, is that pretty much it of your favorite character and our favorite scenes, or did you?
Uh, Actually, I didn't say my favorite scene and which
Okay,
one it would be. Good question. I guess maybe the final confrontation with Jared, even though I liked those staircases and stuff, but like I said before, I was a little disappointed with how it ended. But I did also like the ending when it turned out that all those characters from the fantasy world are still around, and Jared appearing outside in his owl form kind of implies the story might not be over, which is not a bad thing.
well, no, especially since there's talk of actually there being a sequel um, in the works. I guess uh, the Sun has actually said as of this year they are in talks about a production where there will actually be a queen of supposedly a goblin queen, and they'll use archival footage of Jared.
Cool.
Using the express permissions of David Bowie and Jim Henson and company to use said footage. And Jennifer Connelly is supposed to be returning as the mother of whoever is going to be going through the same or similar journey. So I guess we'll see what happens. It's not exactly set in stone yet, but that's as far as I've heard.
Interesting.
So, um, okay. Are you pretty much done with your favorite scenes and favorite character?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then let's head over to Tammy. What were your favorite scenes and favorite characters or character?
Well, my real favorite character, of course, is Jared. So, yeah, I think they definitely got it right in picking him for the part. Just like when they picked Robin Williams to play Hook, they play Peter Pan and Hook. I don't think anybody else could have pulled that off like he did. Just like I don't think anybody else could have pulled off the Goblin King the same way David Bowie did. I think they got it right totally.
Mm,
And when you watch any of the behind the scenes stuff like we did, they know they got it right. And
yeah.
um, I guess if I had to pick a second one, yeah, I like Pluto too.
Oh, indeed.
But favorite scene? Well, one of my favorite scenes I love the masquerade ball. I really do. I like that whole.
Dream sequence.
Yeah, I like the whole dream sequence.
Oh, well, true. That scene was also cool.
And I think towards the end the stairs, that is just so trippy. You know.
Definitely.
So yeah, it's hard to pick any one thing or anyone. There's so many unique Muppets, if you want to say, or puppets in here. There's so many unique ones and everything, and you know, so it's hard to pick anything. But if you got to narrow it down, that's about it. Oh, and I do have to make mention. I like the little worm. Okay.
Well, my favorite characters, of course, Ludo is my first and a favorite character. I just love how he talks and how he acts, and I think he's like the cute, lovable, large creature. He's very relatable and misunderstood, I think. And it's not his fault that he was being tortured by these goblin-like things and tied up in a tree. You know. So
uh, Sorry, I had a glitch. Are you talking about Ludo?
yes, I am.
Ah, I see.
And of course, Jared is a close second. I enjoy how evil he can sound, and the fact that he hasn't really to Toby treated him really all that badly, you know. And I almost feel like he treats Sarah's relationship with him and her almost to like a romantic kind of a thing where he treats her like a princess at times. He offers her a world of magic and a world without, you know, responsibilities and all that jazz. So I think in a way he's there to be kind of a temptress, in a sense, to tempt her from, and yeah. But favorite scenes, I definitely enjoy her moments in the labyrinth, the helping hands. I enjoy that moment, but um, I do like that masquerade, and I do like the battle. Oh, and the moments in the bog of eternal stench. There's a whole lot that I like about this movie. It's hard to put like one down, but I do like that the song that Bowie sings with all those stairs and the way he moves, and the fact that Sarah's got to come up with these lines to get Toby back and all that jazz. It's just all kind of like one magical journey, and I think the puppets it made it possible. Um, it was an imaginary effort, and I think they took great strides. And this was at the height of, the puppetry world. I mean, I mean, Jim Henson was like the king of puppetry. I mean, I would say behind him is Jeff Dunham, and Tammy here would say Terry Fader is right behind him. But uh, Jim Henson, there's not much that he wasn't part of when it came to puppetry. I mean, he even was behind some of the stuff that had to do with Farscape and Frago Rock and Eureka's Castle. I know you said something that he was part of. Blue Bear.
Bear in the Big Blue House. That was that was a TV show I watched as a kid.
The Muppets was definitely something. I know that Sesame Street was definitely part of that, but there were a ton of like Muppet specials that were on, like the Bremen Town Musicians and things of that nature. So there were other like 1 hour specials that he did with Muppet type characters that I know he was part of. So, but in any case, hopefully, did anyone else have anything else to add?
Have we discussed the music?
Well, we did early on a little bit, but the music was most of it was David Bowie. There was maybe the one song with the headless creatures that I think was written by Jim Henson, but everything else was David Bowie. So.
Yeah.
So, other than that, did you like the music that David Bowie put behind this?
Yes, I did actually. It was quite cool.
What about you, Tammy?
Yes, of course, I like the music.
Of course.
I do too. I didn't know that he wrote them specifically for this movie, all 5 of them, because I've heard them on the radio from time to time, and I've heard them on his other albums. So I always thought that maybe he wrote maybe one specifically, but not all 5.
I liked the music when I first saw it, but I appreciated the music as I got older and realized who David Bowie was too.
Oh, indeed.
Alrighty. Well, hopefully, you ladies and gentlemen out there who have been listening to us, like, share, and subscribe. We'll definitely be back next week I figured we would continue and go onwards to the never-ending story too, just to
Who?
get that out of the way, since I'm kind of on a never-ending story kick.
Uh, so which one are we doing?
The never-ending story 2,
Who?
or part 2.
From uh, 1990.
Yep. So we'll definitely check that out. While I still have the never-ending story double feature out from Tammy, might as well keep it out, and so we'll cover it. And then
I was just gonna say that. I'm glad I didn't put that away yet.
so like, share, and subscribe. Let us know down in the comments what you thought of our discussion, and we'll see you next time here on Delusions of Grandeur. Everyone, say good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone, and hoot hoot.